MTV made the 80s immortal, but for every megastar, a dozen brilliant bands flickered once and vanished. Label implosions, shelved albums, one perfect single, and then radio silence. Tonight, we're digging up the ghosts, 10 forgotten 80s bands whose songs still hit like the neon just came back on. You'll get the stories behind the disappearances, and one must-hear track from each group to rebuild your playlist with the decade's best near misses. If you think you've heard every 80s classic, this list will redraw your map, because sometimes the bands that disappeared left the brightest afterimages. This is Pop Lore. Subscribe, hit the bell, and let's drop the needle on 10 forgotten 80s bands that vanished without a trace. Stick around to the end. I'm shouting out your sleeper picks for part 2. The opening synths arrive like a door sliding open on a winter night. Cold air, then warmth. Feels like. Heaven is one of the decade's great paradoxes. A chorus that soars like dawn, welded to verses that sound like they're trying not to shiver. The arrangement is immaculate in its restraint. A heartbeat drum pattern that never shows off, bass outlining the chords in simple arcs, arpeggiated keys painting the song's perimeter, and a lead vocal that holds back just enough to make the lift feel earned. The hook isn't shouted into existence, it's revealed, a change in light more than a change in volume. I fought the fever as I knew. My hair is... What makes it endure is the architecture. Each layer arrives with purpose and then gets out of the way. That economy lets the lyrics do something rare in synth pop, suggest intimacy without collapsing into sentimentality. And then, the story narrows. A follow-up album that didn't connect, singles that didn't catch the same thermals, and by 1987, the band was gone. The mystery isn't why they vanished. The 80s were merciless. The mystery is how this one song keeps feeling new, as if the chorus had been waiting in the air the whole time, and Fiction Factory simply found it. Play Q. Feels like heaven.
Hey, Pop Lore family. Did you know only 1% of viewers are subscribed? If you love deep dives into pop legends, forgotten gems, and the stories behind the songs that shaped generations, hit that subscribe button right now. And don't forget to turn on LL notifications so you'll be the first to know when we premiere our next video. It's free, it helps Pop Lore grow, and it makes sure you never miss a single countdown or music story. Let's build this community together.
A guitar line like breath on glass. A bass that paces rather than pushes. Drums mixed like footsteps in a hallway. The passions build a world out of negative space, and Barbara Gogan's vocal threads through it like a thought you can't stop returning to. I'm in Love with a German film star is post-punk at its most painterly. Minimal parts arranged so carefully that the silence between them becomes the song's subject. The lyric is infatuation as atmosphere. Not a biography, not even a confession. More like a glow around a figure glimpsed and then lost. That's the trick. The band writes yearning into the production. Reverb isn't an effect, it's memory. The snare doesn't crack, it exhales. You hear the courage it takes to do less in a climate that rewarded drama, and the cost of that courage in a market that didn't know where to shelve quiet intensity. Within a couple of years, the passions had dissolved, leaving behind a single that keeps recruiting new listeners, one dreamy guitar line at a time. The band disappears, the feeling refuses to. Play Q. I'm in Love with a German film star. Some bands sound like they're building toward a future the industry hasn't scheduled yet. The Bolshoi's Away sits exactly there. Brooding verses with a pop skeleton, a vocal that carries both distance and heat, guitars that flare, then tuck back under the melody as if conserving fuel. The rhythm section locks a locomotive mid-tempo, and the chorus breaks open without ever losing shape. Goth-adjacent coloring rendered with pop discipline. Everything about Away reads like a prelude to a bigger chapter. Growing audiences, press attention, songs that could cross over without sanding off their shadows. Then the bureaucratic gravity well opens. Label Turbulence, a finished follow-up consigned to limbo. Momentum that couldn't survive the silence. By the end of the decade, the band is gone. The lost record surfaces only decades later, a time capsule proving the spark was real. The poignancy of Away deepens once you know the trajectory. It already sounded like someone lifting their eyes to the horizon. The tragedy is we don't get to hear how far that gaze could have traveled uninterrupted. This video is sponsored by the Lore Store on Amazon, your one-stop shop for music lovers across reggae, rock, pop, and hip-hop. We built it for real listeners who don't want to dig through 1,000 listings to find the right gear. Inside the Lore Store, you'll find 5 aisles. VIP, top, battle-tested essentials. Headphones, turntables, speakers, gig-safe earplugs, smart speakers. Reggae Vibe, Roots and Lovers. Rock Made Easy, automatic decks, warm bookshelf speakers, vinyl care. Rock Lore, classic rock must-haves, open back cans, simple amps, living room concert vibes. Pop Lore, feel-good everyday setups, clean, clear speakers, easy streaming, nostalgia-friendly picks. Hip-hop must-haves, punchy bass without the muddle, closed-back headphones and living room systems that handle low-end. Plus a rotating crate of old album vinyl if you're rebuilding a 60s-90s collection. Every product page tells you who it's for, 3 pros, 1 con, and why we picked it. So you can choose with confidence. Flying soon? Check. VIP for noise canceling that tames plane roar. Mostly listening at home? Try open-back headphones that let live albums breathe. Want instant gratification vinyl? Our fully automatic turntable is 1 button from silence to music. And the record cleaning kit knocks down crackle so the bass tightens up. Headed to shows? Grab high-fidelity earplugs. Hands-free at home? Our smart speaker picks let you say, play 70s reggae or classic pop, and you're there. Deal alert. If you use the link in the description, you'll land on our curated picks with current best available Amazon pricing and active discounts where applicable. Prices change, so buy now to lock in today's deal. Tap the link in the description, pick your aisle, grab a favorite, and tell me which category you want me to build next. The Lore Store. Listen better, with gear that gets out of the way and lets the music live.
Let me in, you must be out of yesterday. Open up your arms and heart.
A baritone steps into a room lined with glass and tells you the truth. Brilliant Mind is an interior song dressed for the outside world. Elegant, poised, refracting emotion through sleek keys, and a bass line that moves with conversational calm. The drum programming is precise without being cold. Guitar comes in like a signature flourish, then vanishes.
Want your empty words heard and everybody's ready.
It's one of the decade's most haunting singles because it refuses the easy catharsis of a belt. It holds its center and lets the ache resonate. And then the machinery around it breaks. Label collapse, distribution chaos, the kind of logistical failures that can turn momentum into myth. Furniture kept writing, kept playing, but the window had narrowed while the business tried to repair its own scaffolding.
At the stage where I want my words heard and
Brilliant Mind remains as both artifact and argument, proof that understatement can be indelible, and evidence that great songs sometimes need not just craft and timing, but infrastructure to survive. When you press play now, you can still hear the alternative history humming under the chorus, the version where this voice becomes a fixture instead of a footnote.
but I'm smart enough to know.
Some ballads crash through the door. This one drifts in and rearranges the light. Todd Rundgren's production gives I Don't Mind at All an almost weightless carriage. Acoustic guitars shimmering at the edges, strings that ache without swelling, harmonies that seem to arrive a half second before you realize you needed them.
go, but I don't mind. No, I don't mind at all.
The melody is featherlight but exact, the lyric unhysterical and therefore devastating. It's the sound of two writers, Brent Bourgeois and Larry Tagg, trusting restraint, trusting that the smallest motion can move the most air. Radio programmers loved it because it refuses to date itself. There's none of the decade's technological bravado here, just pure song.
Important to me, but I don't see it.
But inside the band, the tectonics were shifting, creative tensions, diverging paths, and by 1989, they were finished. The single lived on, a perennial on soft focus playlists and a quiet standard for anyone trying to learn how to let the middle eight do the speaking. You don't need to know the backstory to feel the ending in the chords. The record understands that not every goodbye slams. Some of them float, smiling, all the way to the door.
The politics of movement. Oh, is this message understood?
It starts with a pulse you could measure a dance floor by. Kick and bass in lockstep, hi-hats etched like grid lines, synth arpeggios flickering at the edges like stage lights warming up. Then that chorus drops, half slogan, half smile, and suddenly you remember how easily a hook can reorganize a room.
It's just a point of view. Well, you know you can't stop.
The politics of dancing works because it's both metaphor and mechanism, a song about the power of movement that literally powers movement. The verses are taut, the pre-chorus raises the ceiling, and the payoff is communal by design, phrasing that begs a crowd to chant it back at itself. Production-wise, it's a masterclass in 83 ergonomics. Drums with just enough gated snap to feel modern without freezing. Synths that trade glassy pads for rubbery leads. A bass line that moves like an escalator. But the real magic is restraint. Nothing grandstands. Each part is a system, clocking the dancers forward until the chant feels inevitable. And then, silence. A follow-up album trapped in release limbo. Momentum bleeding out in boardrooms instead of clubs.
The politics of dancing. The politics of...
The shocking thing isn't that one huge single didn't guarantee longevity. The 80s are littered with those. It's that a chorus this sticky didn't at least buy the band time to evolve in public. In another timeline, Politics is the opening chapter of a story about how pop and polemic learned to share a stage. In ours, it's a monument standing alone on a dance floor that kept moving without its architects. Play cue, the politics of dancing.
Take my hand, cry boy cry, the tears.
Everything glows. Marimba flecks sparkle at the edges. The bass line bounces like colored light. The drums feel sprung rather than slammed. Cry Boy Cry is pure neon, a track engineered to ricochet off roller rink ceilings and radio antennas with equal ease. The vocal rides the top line with arch poise, angling from pout to plea without losing a wink. The chorus blooms on contact, the kind you remember as a shape even before you recall the words.
Close the vacuum, watch it try.
Listen to how the percussion frames the hook. The marimba not as novelty but as architecture, brightening the downbeat and turning the turnarounds into little fireworks. Guitars stroke, never slash. Synths add lift, never wait. It's one of those records where the arrangement does what the lyric can't quite say. It levitates. And yet by 1985, Blue Zoo had split. One big flare, then darkness, with reunion flickers decades later proving the DNA still jolts a crowd. You can feel the tragedy of timing here. A sound perfectly aligned with early 80s pop theater, released into a market that would soon demand either more gloss or more grit. Cry Boy Cry lives on because it picked a third path, buoyant, and turned it into a memory you can still dance to. Chiming guitars draw a horizon line. The bass steps patiently into it, and the drums mark time with unfussy precision. A Million Things builds melancholy like an architect, pain by pain, until the light coming through feels colored. The chorus doesn't explode so much as lift, a widening of the frame where melody and longing arrive at the same height. College radio programmers heard it instantly. This was a song you could live inside.
This time I and it all designs.
What makes it durable is proportion. The Lucy Show balance jangle and weight, giving the verses enough shadow that the refrain can glow without schmaltz. Guitars interlock rather than compete. Backing vocals act like scaffolding, not wallpaper. It's the sound of a band that knows how to rise without overreaching.
A million things you said go round and round.
Then the floor drops out where the music industry meets finance. Label instability, a bankruptcy looming like weather, plans put on hold until on hold becomes over. By '88, they were gone, leaving behind records that play like postcards from an alternate chart history. Spin, a million things now, and you can still hear the route it should have taken, straight up the middle of playlists that never got to be. Punk kids recalibrate. The guitars get glossy, the rhythm section learns widescreen stride, and China strides out like a mission statement. This is the sound of a band turning toward radio horizon without losing the urgency that got them out of garages. Verse melodies are taut and conversational. The pre-chorus tilts forward. The chorus throws the windows open. MTV bites. And for a minute, the future looks big. The production is textbook 83 in the best way. Chorus guitar swimming just shy of excess. Drums crisp without calcifying. A synth sheen that contours rather than smothers. You can hear the discipline of a group learning to land ideas at the hook without sanding off their edges. It's not a sellout, it's a swerve. And for one single, the lane holds. But stylistic pivots are bargains with the gods of timing, and the bill can come due fast. By the mid-'80s, the spark had faded, internal and external pressures doing what they do, and Red Rockers folded, returning much later for one-offs that function more like gatherings than campaigns. China remains as the proof of concept, a lesson in how to translate without betraying, and a reminder that one translation isn't always enough to earn permanent citizenship on the charts.
Hey, Pop Lore family! Did you know only 1% of viewers are subscribed? If you love deep dives into pop legends, forgotten gems, and the stories behind the songs that shaped generations, hit that subscribe button right now. And don't forget to turn on LL notifications so you'll be the first to know when we premiere our next video. It's free, it helps Pop Lore grow, and it makes sure you never miss a single countdown or music story. Let's build this community together.
Some songs don't meet you in the nightclub. They meet you by the window. Thank You moves with Baccarat-tinted grace. Trumpet lines that feel like late afternoon light. Acoustic guitar filigree tracing the edges. Rhythm parts that sway rather than insist. The melody doesn't climb so much as float. And the lyric's gratitude is disarming precisely because it refuses melodrama. This is Liverpool not as grit but as poise, a lineage of pop that remembers how to dress well and feel deeply at the same time. What's remarkable is how modern it still sounds when you strip the decade's markers away. The arrangement is air and proportion. The recording lets instruments breathe in a shared space. The vocal sites close enough to feel conversational. Critics heard it, adored it. Charts shrugged. By 1987, the Pale Fountains had split, with members carrying their sensibility into Shack, another cult beloved for craftsmanship the market too rarely rewards. Play Thank You for a Friend, and you'll watch the conversion happen in real time. The head tilt, the slight smile when the horn line returns, the unprompted, "Who is this?" That's the secret life of a vanished band. To survive as a gift, passed hand to hand, turning strangers into caretakers. Play Q, Thank You. The journey doesn't end here, pop lovers. Watch this next.